right here on your big stage and on the big show with DJ Nyams. So this afternoon, I'm joined in by Mmabatho Mokause. She's a member of parliament. She's in the Central Committee, and she's also the head of elections from the EFF, Economic Freedom Front. Mmabatho, it's a good afternoon.
It's a good afternoon from us in South Africa, and good afternoon to you. Let me just correct you. It's called Economic Freedom Fighters, not Economic Freedom Front.
Okay, so my apologies. Economic Freedom Fighters. Yeah.
Yes.
So the EFF is celebrating 10 years, correct?
We are celebrating a milestone.
Yes.
10 best years of economic freedom fighters.
Okay. So let's start from the background, so people, our listeners, get to understand about the EFF. When was the EFF started?
The EFF was formed in South Africa, July 26, 2013. That's when the EFF was formed.
And who started the EFF, and what was the motivation on starting the EFF?
You would recall that our leader now, who's the commander-in-chief and president of the Economic Freedom Fighters, President Julius Malema, was expelled by the ruling party when he was still the president of the Youth League, the youth wing of the ANC. And what he said to them was, don't expel me. Just let me remain with my membership within the party. They expelled him because he raised quite a thorny issue in one of the conferences and across the board in all the interviews that he made. That South Africa, yes, is free from apartheid, but South Africans still live very poor. And they do not have economic freedom. So economic freedom is very much essential in democracy. You cannot have a democratic state which does not fight for economic freedom. So he was expelled. Now, the current deputy president, Deputy President Floyd Shivambu, resigned from the ANC and the ANC Youth League, to join the intention to form a political party after a series of meetings with all the activists around the 9 provinces of South Africa. And then we answered, all of us, a question on what is to be done. So we took a decision to form a political party. So it was formed by a number of activists throughout the 9 provinces of South Africa who came together and showed interest that indeed they want to fight for economic freedom in our lifetime.
Okay, great. So now, since the 26th of July until to date, how has been your membership of the EFF?
Towards the 9th anniversary, which was last year, 2022, our mission at the beginning of the year was to embark on a massive recruitment of membership to reach the 1 million mark of EFF membership. People whom we can say, these ones are the ones when we move towards the elections, they are able to make a mark next to the EFF. We have reached that goal in December 2022. So we are 1 million plus registered membership of the Economic Freedom Fighters in South Africa.
Okay. And then my question then goes to say, in terms of ages, is it most of the youthful ages, or is just even the youthful and the older ones? And then also in terms of race, I've always, when I follow issues that have to do with the EFF, it's always seemed to be a Black empowerment project. So is it a mixed race? How's been the membership? Is everybody coming on board, or how's it like in terms of age and race?
You would understand that South Africa is extremely diverse. There are provinces that are 70% white and coloreds, like the Western Cape. You would find provinces like the Northern Cape that we find that 40% are colored and white. So our membership cuts across all races. And youthful, it's in majority. But we have been working on getting older people who has been, I would say, traditional voters of other political parties who existed over the years. But our membership is mixed so far. The 1 million that I'm speaking about cuts across the board, all races and all age groups.
Now you've come here, it's been a milestone. And obviously, we now want to hear those highlights, you understand? In the 10 years that you've been in existence, what are some of these highlights that you can say the EFF has done 1, 2, 3, 4 towards either South Africa or towards issues of policies and bills? What has the EFF really done? What have been these milestones that the EFF has done?
Currently, as the EFF, when we entered Parliament, South Africa generally was characterized by corruption in all spheres of government.
Mmabatho, just hold it there. So, after you guys launched the EFF, when was the first time that you guys had members of Parliament in Parliament? Then you can continue from there.
When we entered Parliament, we highlighted a lot of issues relating to corruption, both in government and in private sector and across societies at large. What we said to South Africans was that this is what we have discovered. Corruption by the previous President Zuma and his cabinet. And we were the ones who raised the motion in Parliament for the removal of President Zuma. And as you know, that we stand for land expropriation without compensation, which is our main pillar. We have moved a bill in Parliament with land expropriation without compensation. All these public hearings were done throughout South Africa, and majority of South Africans agreed with us to say we need the land without compensation. But when it came back to Parliament, of course, the ruling party used its majority to overpower us. So the bill could not be passed. And in all other municipalities where we existed, we were able to insource securities in one of the metros in Joburg, because we believe that the tendering system is the one that comes with corruption generally. We insourced security guards in municipalities that we had councillors in, and we moved for the operations of 24-hour health care facilities. That clinics must be open for 24 hours. We have currently tabled a bill in Parliament that we need Parliament to move from Cape Town, which is too costly for the state to maintain. We need Parliament to be in Pretoria, where all the departments are stationed in Pretoria. Now, you can imagine, if departments need to go and appear before committees are in Cape Town. All those senior government departments, senior officials, including cabinet ministers who move with their own entourage, are flown into Cape Town, are accommodated for those few days. So it has been a burden. It's still a burden on the state coffers. Now we have moved that bill. We're waiting for the processes to kickstart.
Okay, just to ask you on that one. So are you saying that even for you as a member of Parliament, every time you have to attend Parliament, do you physically have to fly to the Cape Town, or you can also attend Parliament virtually? What is currently the situation?
The setup during COVID was Parliament. We were attending Parliament virtual. But now that we are gradually returning to normality, we need to fly to Cape Town. It has been like that over the years. And we have made it very clear that it has put a huge burden on the state coffers. If Parliament is in Pretoria, majority of us who comes from different provinces, we are able to fly in the morning, attend Parliament, and actually go back to our own homes, rather than being in hotels or in areas that needs to be paid for.
Okay, Mmabatho, just a suggestion. Looking at how South Africa geographical location it is, it's so huge. What about if you've got parliament buildings in different parts of South Africa? Like, for example, you have a parliament building in Cape Town, a parliament building in KwaZulu-Natal, a parliament building in the where you have your what's this called, your Bloemfontein, and then you have another parliament building in Pretoria. Then at one stage, all this parliament, with the parliament settings, you guys then go all virtually. Wouldn't that be a good idea? Than even besides flying?
You got cut off, but I got your question. Now, the reality is that each and every province has got its own provincial legislature. Now, Parliament is Parliament as in the national Parliament. Now, what we were saying as the EFF was that if you move Parliament to Pretoria, it will ease the burden on the state coffers. But we are also saying these are buildings that we can utilize to rotate Parliament to each and every province so that the community gets to know what is happening in Parliament. The community gets to participate. We get 100% of community participation, and they will also understand they will also understand the need of voting and changing governments. If this government is not working for you, the need for voting and putting another government in place. And they will also, without sending someone to go and represent them in Parliament, they can also come in and view their own concerns. They can also come in and table their proposals, because we are here for the people. We are representing those constituencies. So Parliament has its own representation in terms of provincial legislatures, and that can also be used to actually get the community to participate from time to time.
Okay. So what are some of the other highlights that you can highlight that the EFF has done since being formed?
Sorry,
I'm saying. So what are the other highlights that you can tell us what the EFF has done? You've told us about the land. You've told us about the parliament.
Yes. So far, where we are governing, we have always mentioned that the EFF is ready to govern. Where we are governing through MMCs. In the city of Joburg, we are heading certain departments, like the Department of Safety. We're having departments of finance and health in different municipalities, in major metros. Our people are able to live in clean places where previously those places were used as dumping areas. Our people are able to access water, where water which was closed is currently opened by our MMCs in different metros. Our clinics are clean and they help people on time. We are advocating for more staff, for provincial government to intervene, to get more staff into those clinics and open them for 24 hours. We have currently, as the EFF, launched a campaign called Andries Tatane Cleaning Campaign. Now, Andries Tatane is one of the activists who was shot by police in one of the small places of the Free State called Vicksburg back in the years. Now, we took that name and with the consultation of the family and launched a campaign. Every Saturday, wherever you are, EFF branches, EFF villages, EFF townships, we are having a cleaning campaign. We clean everything, including the sewer systems. We clean everything, including the dumping sites for our communities to actually live in clean areas. That include the schools, the clinics, the hospitals. We do not separate them, although they are government, but we are trying to show the current government how they should run these places, how our people needs to be kept into clean places, given clean water.
Okay. All right. Yes, to tune into Galaxy Radio and simulcasting with Radio Flora with DJ Nyams on the Big Chill. And I'm talking to Mmabatho. She's from the EFF. She's a member of Parliament. She's in the Central Committee, and she's the head of elections in the EFF. And we're talking about the EFF. They've just celebrated 10 years. So they're taking us back on what they've done, how they're proceeding, and where they're going. So Mmabatho, let's look at what have been some of the challenges that the EFF has faced in the 10 years that has been there.
Well, you would understand that forming a new political party is not a child's play. Forming a new political party requires a sober mind. It requires strength. It requires commitment. Now, we were fortunate in the EFF that through the commander-in-chief and the current leadership, the previous leadership, we found that strength, we found that courage, we found that commitment. And we haven't had so many setbacks. The only challenge was finances. You would understand that we have challenged the status quo in South Africa, Africa and the world. So no one would want to associate with the EFF in terms of giving monies and all of that. So we have been fundraising through our own members of parliament, our own councillors in terms of party levy on each and every month. Now, finances has only been our main challenge so far. But the dedication that we found through the entire leadership led by Commander-in-Chief has been superb.
Okay, so now EFF is 10 years. From now, what is next? Where to from here? Maybe if you can take us through maybe the next 5-10 years. What's next for the EFF? Where do you see the EFF?
You know, our main aim is to capture power and deliver economic freedom in our lifetime. Now, we are going to contest the upcoming general elections come 2024 in all 9 provinces. And our aim is to make sure that we work hard and take over power. And South Africans need to taste, South Africans need to experience economic freedom. They have experienced political freedom. They have experienced that. Now, we have gone past that. We need the minerals beneath the soil to benefit all South Africans. We need South Africans to experience jobs and jobs that can pay them well so that they survive. We need South African young people to go to school for free at the level of the university as well. We need them when they get there to be skilled, to be brought into an internship where they are going to get jobs. That is currently not happening. And we are going to make that happen after we have captured power. So it is a journey, but it has already started during the 2014 general elections. We are gradually getting there.
Well, if I may just ask you, there's always a group that is always left out most of the time. It's persons with disabilities. In terms of membership and representation of persons with disabilities in the EFF, how has that been?
The EFF cuts across all races, all ages, and all forms of people in South Africa, including disabled people. The EFF set a bar in Parliament where it was the only party in the National Council of Provinces and in Parliament which had a person with disability. And then, of course, they learned from us and then they followed suit. So we accommodate everybody, not only in the National Parliament, but in all provincial legislatures and municipalities.
10 years now. So in terms of celebrations, what are some of the activities that you guys have lined up, for your 10-year celebration?
It has been quite an eventful 6 months, started in January 2023. The Commander-in-Chief and President Julius Malema, accompanied by officials of the EFF and members of the Central Command team, has been crisscrossing this country, celebrating our milestone, which is 10 years, with all sectors of society, be it young people, being it in old ages, in homes which are keeping orphans, in all these places that you can imagine, in all 9 provinces. Today they are ending up in a province called the Northwest Province, where the EFF was formed in Rustenburg. We celebrate with them so that they feel a part of this journey that we have achieved. 10 years ago, when we started the EFF, we brought everybody together, whether you had money, whether you are disabled, whether you were working or whether not working, together. Now we say, here we are, 10 years later. This is what we have achieved. What is it that you want the EFF to do when they capture power come 2024? So it has been our journey to involve everybody. So the festivities are continuing. This past weekend, we had a great carnival around the city of Johannesburg, where the leadership, led by Commander-in-Chief, actually led that beautiful carnival where everybody was involved, even people from the streets. We walked through the streets of Joburg, and it was ended by a huge party where everybody just enjoyed themselves, remembering the journey that we traveled.
Okay.
And it will end on the Saturday, where the Commander-in-Chief and President will then address the rally at the FNB Stadium.
So this is the main event on this Saturday.
This Saturday, that's
at the FNB.
main.
Okay.
At the FNB, yeah.
Okay. Now let's take a bit of look at the EFF its relationship outside South Africa. What's the EFF relationship with the SADC?
We are currently advocating for the removal of borders in Africa. We are currently advocating for all Africans to live as one. We are advocating Africa to be a borderless country, one currency, and be able to trade amongst each other so that we empower each other. Yes.
And your engagement with the specifically with the SADC?
We've got different platforms in the EFF. We've got commissars who are dealing with the international relations, specifically who deals with such issues of engaging with other counterparts in Africa, and also learning on what other economic freedom fighters in Africa are doing. Because when we were born, throughout the years, we have been spreading to other countries. So there's a whole lot of work done in a lot of countries of Africa. But our main negotiation is that Africa must be one currency, and Africa must be borderless, so that there is free movement within the African continent. There's free trade within the African continent.
Okay, Mmabatho, just to probably take you back, when you spoke about the issue of land appropriation without compensation, so Zimbabwe went down that road of the issue of land, and it ended up taking it into another pitfall. What have been your lessons that you've learned from how Zimbabwe has done it, and what would you do differently on this issue of land appropriation without compensation? What would you do differently?
We are saying, as the EFF, the land must be expropriated without compensation and be available for those who worked the land. And it must be available to those who are prepared to work the land. If government expropriate land without compensation and make it available, let's say for farming, government needs to avail resources to capacitate those farmers. Government must avail resources to capacitate and give proper lessons to those who want to own the land and work the land.
Okay.
So government must not give us the land back and then fold their arms. That is not what we want. If they fold our arms, obviously people are going to fail. You've got to avail money, resources, and you've got to avail capacity to capacitate our people to work the land.
Okay, Mmabatho, thank you so much for coming through. But before you go, what are your parting shots to everybody who's listening to you from around the world? Because we broadcast from Germany and we reach so many people. What would be your parting shots to our listeners who are listening to you?
We, as the economic freedom fighters, are celebrating a 10 years milestone year in South Africa. There were a lot of things said by us that we are mostly youthful organization which will attract only young people. But currently, we have attracted all ages of people in South Africa, and those elderly people who were traditionally voting for other political parties, they currently see our worth, and they continue to also educate others about the EFF worth. Now, it wasn't easy for us as the economic freedom fighters because we were viewed like any other political formation across South Africa, which were formed and then lasted maybe for a year or two years, that we are also going to perish. But we have shown the courage and we have shown the commitment that we are here for the people. And we want the people of South Africa to experience economic freedom in their lifetime. We are here to say, across all races, we want South Africans to have jobs, we want South Africans to have free education, we want South Africa to have free quality healthcare, we want all South Africans to have clean, drinkable water and proper housing and sanitation. So we are celebrating this 10 years to say the journey does not end here. We are still having a lot to do. After capturing power, come 2024, economic freedom in our lifetime will be experienced by South Africans.
All I can say is we can only wish EFF the best as it goes to try and get into power and to be the next government in South Africa. And I hope to be hosting President Julius Malema is someone that I've been really following and really monitoring. And all I can say to you guys is congratulations for the 10 years. The EFF has done well starting from the ground and to where you guys are today. It's been a great milestone. And all we can do, we can wish you all the best and happy 10th anniversary and great celebrations from the Galaxy Radio and Radio Flora team.
Thank you so much, and continue following us as we make great strides through South Africa, Africa, and the world. Thank you so much.
Mmabatho, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Great afternoon too. Thank you.